Welcome to our Shrimad Bhagwatam class. Hare Krishna everybody. I again welcome you for Shrimad Bhagwatam class this evening. Today we will begin chapter 4 of Shrimad Bhagwatam, Canto 1. Okay, before that, I would like to chant Mangalacharan prayer slokas. If you know them, you can chant along with me. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padana Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gauratu Se Namaha Vainchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nastaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna everybody. So you are very fortunate boys and girls that you are getting an opportunity to listen about Shrimad Bhagwatam, which is Amala Purana, very pure Shrimad Bhagwatam. Prahlad Maharaj, a great devotee, he suggested that Shrimad Bhagwatam should be introduced in all schools and colleges, because from the very beginning of the age, like 5 or 6 or 7 years age, they should learn Bhagavatam. Kaumaram acharet pragno, dharman bhagavatan iha, durdabam manusam janma, tad api adruvam arthadam. So it is very essential that we all should uh, learn Shrimad Bhagwatam. So today is chapter 4, titled The Appearance of Sri Narada. Before I begin that, I would like to review on the 3 chapters of Shrimad Bhagwatam that we have already learned. Okay, very briefly, I will just describe, because the first 3 slokas of chapter 1 are very, very important. They form the basis of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Vyasadeva in the first verse tells us who Lord Krishna is. And he also describes some of the qualities of Krishna, okay, which you should know that God, Lord Krishna is present everywhere. So it is called like all pervading, omnipresent. He is absolute truth, Param Satyam. He is Abhigna, means he is knowing, he is knower of everything. Swarat means fully independent. He is divine, he is transcendental. He is above the 3 modes of material nature. He is all attractive. He is all perfect. He is asama urdhva. That means nobody is equal to him and nobody is greater than him. He is omniscient, which is same as Abhigna, and then he is supremely intelligent, and he is also omnipotent. He's very strong. He possesses all 6 opulences in fullest extent. So these are some qualities of Lord Krishna that you should know. Then in the second verse, Vyasadeva defines the real religion. What is real religion? Distinguishes the cheating religion, which is materially motivated religion. And then he also glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that there is no need of any other book than Srimad Bhagavatam. Because Srimad Bhagavatam gives you everything. And then in the third verse, he recommends general people like us to relish to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, because it is the mature fruit of Vedic trees. You know, the Vedic scripture is compared to a tree, and as tree have a fruit, Vedic tree also have a fruit, which is called Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called matured fruit. Sukadeva Goswami, as you have heard the name before also, is telling this to Maharaj Parikshit. So why it is so relishable? Because it is touched, or it is touched by the lips of Sukadeva Goswami, because he told to Parikshit Maharaj. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has become more tastier because Sukadeva Goswami is a pure devotee. Moreover, he was a parrot of Radharani in the previous life. And that's why, if you know, I don't know, some people, if you are from India, you probably know this, that any fruit that is touched by bird, it becomes more sweeter. It is very familiar in India. Sometimes the mango tree, you know, birds come and touch it with its beak. So that fruit becomes more tastier like that. So this is the first 3 verses of chapter 1. But then Vyasadeva describes that in the forest of Naimisharanya, let me share the screen here. All right, do you all see the screen here? So here is the scene where forest of Naimisharanya is there. Suta Goswami is on a Vyasasan. There is a sacrifice, Yagna Kunda is there. And there are 88,000 Rishis are there. right? So Vyasadeva describes this, that in the forest of Naimisaranya, this place is near Lucknow in India. So these sages gathered there to perform yajna sacrifice for the welfare of the people in Kali Yuga. Because they are knower of future, means they can know past, present, and future, they can see that what is going to happen in Kali Yuga. During that time, Suta Goswami came there when they were performing the yajna. So this Suta Goswami, he has heard the Shrimad Bhagwatam when Sukadeva Goswami was telling it to King Parikshit on the bank of Ganges. So that was done, spoken first. Then Suta Goswami came here where Rishis were doing yajna. Then they welcome him and they ask him 6 questions. So that is the summary of chapter 1. Then in second chapter, it is given that some of the answers of some questions are given there, and also the summary of Shrimad Bhagwatam. Also, it gives the definition of the absolute truth, process of realization, and duties of all classes of one being. What a person should do, that is also described there. Then in the third chapter, describe the process of creation of material universe, as we have seen from 3 Vishnus, Purusha avatar, right? Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So I have seen all these things in the last week, process of creation of material universe. And also some of the incarnations, like we have discussed 22 incarnations of Lord. And then there are some answers of the questions that sages ask in chapter 1. Of course, this Shrimad Bhagwatam is the answer for all those in detail. But now, in the beginning of this 4th chapter, which is entitled Appearance of Sri Narada, okay, the Saunak Rishi, who is the head of the sages, okay, his eagerness to hear Shrimad Bhagwatam has increased after knowing about these 3 chapters. So he realized that Krishna Katha is the medicine to cure the bad effects of Kali Yuga. So what is the disease of Kali Yuga? It's called Bhava Roga. Bhava Roga means actually the bondage of birth, death, old age, and disease. That is called Bhava Roga. So anyone wants to mitigate this disease, which is called Bhava Roga, the disease of birth cycle, sort of a Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. It is like a birth, old age, disease, and death. Then they should hear Srimad Bhagavad Katha. Then Saunak Rishi in the beginning of this 4th chapter asking few questions. First of all, he wants to know that he says to Suta Goswami, please tell us why Vyasadeva was inspired to write Srimad Bhagwatam. So in this chapter 4, 5, 6, we will see mostly conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadeva. Okay. So in that, this is the main question they want to know. Who inspired Srila Vyasadeva to write Srimad Bhagwatam? Why he was inspired to write Srimad Bhagwatam like that? So that is the question that we will be dealing with. Then also he's asking about Sukadeva Goswami, then how he was recognized by the general public, how he was recognized by the sages, and so forth. Then also, they wanted to know about Parikshit Maharaj also, why he was a king, why he has left everything and sort of uh, renounced everything, you can say. He left everything, his kingdom, his wife, his children, So they want to know about it. So basically, in these 3 chapters, the main character we will be describing is the Narad Muni and also Vyasdev. So let's talk about a little bit about these 2 characters. Narad Muni, as we have seen in the incarnation of Lord last week, he is an empowered incarnation of the Lord. He's the 3rd incarnation. See, first was 4 Kumaras, then the Varah, Boar avatar, then Narad avatar is the 3rd incarnation. He is son of Lord Brahma. Okay, and you all know how Lord Brahma was born on the lotus flower. Then he is also one of the 12 Mahajanas. In Bhagavatam, there are 12 Mahajanas. Mahajanas mean great personality, great authority, So they are described like Swayambur, Narad, Sambhu, Kumar, Kapil, Manu, Prahlad, Janak, Bhisma, Bali, Vaiyasaki. And Vaiyasaki, Sukadeva Goswami is also one of them. And Narad is also one of them. Brahma is one of them. So these are 12 Mahajanas, great authority of Shrimad Bhagwatam. Then Narad Muni is also an immortal sage. He carries a veena with him and all the time saying, Narayan, 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 like that. He always chants the Lord's glories. Spiritual, and he is spiritual master of Srila Vyasdev, as we will see in this chapter, as well as many other special personalities, like he was also the spiritual master of Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, like that, so many others. Great, great pure devotees. In his previous life, he was the son of maid servant. And as a young boy, he would help his mother serve traveling sages. He would hear them speak on transcendental subject matter and eat their prasad remnant. He received many blessings from them and thus became intoxicated with Krishna consciousness. So that was his history of past life of Narad, which we will see also in this 5th chapter. Then a little bit about Vyasdev, because these 2 characters, Narad Muni and Vyasdev, are prominent in the chapters that we are going to study. Vyasdev is the author of Shrimad Bhagwatam. As well, he has also written so many Puranas and Mahabharata, Upanishads, and so forth. So he wrote down the 4 Vedas and the Puranas. He is son of Parasar Muni and Satyavati. He is also known as Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, because he appeared in Dwapar Yuga. He is empowered incarnation of Lord also. As we have seen in their incarnation list, he was the 17th incarnation. He is grandfather of Pandava and Kauravas, and his sons were Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidur. You probably know that from Mahabharata. And Vyasdev, his son is Sukadeva Goswami, who spoke Shrimad Bhagwatam to Maharaj Parikshit. So this is a little introduction of the character of these chapters that we're gonna study. Now, regarding Sukadeva Goswami, that how he was recognizing, how he was recognized by the general people as well as the sages there. So it is said that Sukadeva Goswami, after leaving his paternal home, was roaming like a madman, and therefore it was very difficult for the citizens to recognize him in his exalted position. A sage is not therefore recognized by sight but by hearing. So this is the lesson that we learn from the Shastra, that any real sadhu, rather than seeing him, we have to hear him, because the sadhu can be seen by hearing and not by seeing. So one should approach a sadhu or great sage not to see but to hear him. If one is not prepared to hear the words of sadhu, there is no profit. Sukadeva Goswami was a sadhu who could speak on the transcendental activities of the Lord. He did not satisfy the whims of ordinary citizen. In other words, ordinary people have some ambiguous activity or some bad activities or some kind of questions which are not related to spiritual, then that will not satisfy him. He was recognized when he spoke on the subject of Shrimad Bhagwatam. And he never attempted jugglery like magician. Like, the yogi people, they do some kind of a magical feats, jadoo. So he did not do like this. So outwardly, he appeared to be retarded, dumb, madman, but in fact, he was the most elevated transcendental personality. It is said about Sukadeva Goswami that Sukadeva Goswami is accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. Remember, the sages sometimes go to house. Now in India, it is very common. The sadhu sages go to householders, but they only stop their house. They go for bhiksha or for charity, but their staying time over there, which each grahastha, is only the time it takes to milk a cow, not more than that. If it is more than, they will move to another house like that. This is kind of a system in India. Then Sukadeva Goswami met Emperor Parikshit and explained the text of Shrimad Bhagwatam. He was not accustomed to stay at any householder's residence for more than half an hour at the most, which is the time for milking a cow. And he would just take alms from the fortunate householder. That was to sanctify the residence by his auspicious presence. This is what is believed in India. There are many sadhus, like Swami Prabhupada also used to say that many sadhus used to visit his place and his father used to give them charity. Therefore, Sukadeva Goswami is an ideal preacher established in the transcendental position. So from his activities, those who are in the renounced order of life and dedicated to the mission of preaching the message of Godhead should learn that they have no business with householder save and except to enlighten them in transcendental knowledge. Such asking for charity from the householder should be for the purpose of purifying their home and the people themselves. One who is in a renounced order of life should not be allured or by the glamour of the householder's worldly possessions and thus become subservient to worldly men. For one who is the renounced order of life, this is much more dangerous than drinking poison and committing suicide. That to be renounced order of life is very strict. People have to be very careful. Then next, talking about Maharaj Parikshit, about I would say, see here, King Parikshit with all opulence in his palace. You can see that. His queen, his cards, his chariot, you know. So with all the opulences, people have a question, you know. So a little bit about Parikshit Maharaj that we should know is that the birth of Maharaj Parikshit is wonderful. Why wonderful? Because in the womb of his mother, he was protected by the Krishna himself. You know, his activities are also wonderful. What activity that he did? Because he chastised Kali, who was attempting to kill a cow. We will learn that toward the end of this Shrimad Bhagwatam, Canto 1, chapter 16, 17, 18, 19. You know, we will know in more detail regarding this. Now, his death is also wonderful. Why? Because he got previous notice of his death, which is wonderful for any mortal being. And thus he prepared himself for passing away, sitting down on the bank of the Ganges. You know, some people have a question that he has a very opulent king. Many people, he was sheltering many people. You know, many people, all his kingdom, you know, they are dependent on him. And why did he left? But the reason is given here, that the translator, during all the days he heard Bhagavatam, he did not take food or drink, nor did he sleep for a moment. So everything about him is wonderful. So here it describes about his wonderful birth, wonderful activity, and wonderful death. So Maharaj Parikshit was the emperor of the world, he's king of the whole world, and all the seas and oceans. And he did not have to take the trouble to acquire such a kingdom by his own effort. Why? Because he inherited from his grandfather, Maharaj Yudhishthir. So consequently, there was nothing undesirable in his opulence and administration. As you can see some slide pictures here. Then why should he give up all these favorable circumstances and sit down on the bank of Ganges fasting till death? This is astonishing, and therefore all were eager to know. So that was like Saumana Krosi's question on behalf of the sages there. Then there is another thing also about Parikshit Maharaj, that he was quite a young man and could enjoy life with power and opulences. So there was no question of retiring from active life. There was no difficulty in collecting the state taxes like that for him. You know, he conquered all his enemies. There was enough meal, grain, metal in his kingdom. You know, so materially everything was satisfactory, and therefore there was no question of ultimately giving up his kingdom in life. So that's why the sages were very, very inquisitive. Why King Parikshit left? So these are the beginning background of the chapter 4, where Saumana Krosi is asking all these questions. Also, there is a description about Maharaj Parikshit, that he was also an ideal king and householder because he was a devotee of the personality of Godhead. As you can see from the very beginning of his birth, even in the womb, Lord Krishna protected him. So a devotee of the Lord automatically has all good qualification. And the emperor was typical example of this. Personally, he had no attachment for all the worldly opulences in his possession. But since he was king for all around welfare of the citizen, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for his life, but also for the next. So he would not allow also slaughterhouses in his kingdom. So these are some of the good qualities and the good activities while he was ruling the kingdom. And that is the reason why the sages became so much curious about why he left everything, and went to the bank of Ganges. So now, in reply to this, here, Sutta Goswami is describing the activities of Vyasdev, what Vyasdev has done. So I have already described the character of Vyasdev. So now let's hear about his activities. So they were saying that this Srila Vyasadeva's ashram was up in the Himalayas. Badrikashram, probably you have heard the places. There are 4 prominent places in India: north, south, east, west. So this is up on the north Badrikashram, where Vyasadeva's Samya Pras ashram is there. We had an opportunity to go there one time, few years ago. It was very nice ashram there on the bank of river Saraswati. We will see that here in the slide. Here is Vyasadev. He is outside of his cottage. The Saraswati river is flowing nicely there. Also, you can see that very nice picture of Sri Krishna, Srila Vyasadeva in meditation on the bank of river Saraswati. So, after taking bath in the river, because the sages normally used to live on the bank of the river, wherever there is a river, So, and then they have their cottage there, small hut, hermitage there in which they live. So it's easy to take bath there in the river. So one day, after taking bath in the river Saraswati, Vyasadeva sat in the meditation. You can see that. Because he is also the seer, he is Trikaladarshi. Trikaladarshi means he can see past, present, and future, right? So he saw the miseries of the people of Kali Yuga. So that is, he has seen that in his meditation. Now, because people will not follow the Vedic instructions, their lifespan, intelligence, and memory will be decreased. This is what vision that Vyasadeva got in his meditation. People will become envious. They will perform bad activities in Kali Yuga, like that. So actually in Kali Yuga, there will not be any goodness, because people will be affected by the mode of ignorance and passion. Basically, those two things will increase more in this Kali Yuga. People become impatient. People become greedy. They will become angry. So this is all Vyasadeva saw in his meditation. So Vyasadeva realized that the purifying sacrifices he had previously prescribed in the Vedas would now prove impossible to perform. He has written, before he wrote this Shrimad Bhagwatam, which is the essence of Vedic literature, he wrote 17 Puranas. So the Shrimad Bhagavatam is 18 Puranas. So he was thinking that whatever I have written in these previous Puranas, I have mentioned about the purifying sacrifices process, but these people of Kali Yuga will not be able to perform that thing. So because they were following that in a way, because they were given in such a way, to increase their piety level, but some people will misuse them, you know. So for the people to understand, he decided to simplify the Vedic literature, because the Vedic literature means Vedas was one in the beginning. Okay. Therefore, he divided one Veda into four Vedas. And those name of the Vedas are Yajurved, Rigved, Samaved, and Atharvaved. Okay. So this is what he decided, and he did that one Ved into four Vedas. Why he did that thing? We'll see that in a minute. Then he also added Puranas and Ithiyasas, means history, like Mahabharata, you know, and which contains some pastimes of Lord's various manifestation, incarnations like that. Now, after separating or dividing one Ved into four, he also appointed, or he selected, four learned scholars, rather five of them, four for four Vedas and one for the Mahabharata, like Puranas and histories. So, because he has to do the parampara system, you know, the parampara system means a qualified teacher comes in a disciplic succession, representing the scripture accurately and presents them in a suitable manner for the audience. This is what Vyasadeva did when he broke down the Vedas and compiled the Puranic stories. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada tailored the teaching for the people to preaching purpose also. So Srila Prabhupada has also done a miracle job. We will compare that in a minute also. But that is this parampara, according to follow this parampara system, he selected four personalities for four Vedas and one personality for Puranas and histories. Now I will tell their name. He selected Paila Rusi for Rigved, Jaimini Rusi for Samaved, Vaisampayana Rusi for Yajurved, and Angira Muni for the Atharvaved. And for Puranas and history, he selected Romaharshana Sut, who is the father of Sut Goswami that we are talking about here in this. Romaharshana Sut is father of Sut Goswami. Now, regarding the parampara system, we can see Prabhupada has also given so many books. We are so fortunate that by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, who is representative of Srila Vyasadeva, we have so many wonderful scriptures to guide us, you know. So we also are very thankful to Srila Prabhupada. In ISKCON, he has given us so many books. The list is unlimited, but I will tell some of the books: Bhagavad Gita, Krishna book, Mahabharata, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Ramayana, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Shrimad Bhagwatam, like that, you know. So these are the books given by Srila Prabhupada. Now, next Vyasadeva activity is, so he divided the Vedas and he has appointed the gurus, acharyas, spiritual master for each one of them. And the next thing that he did is he combined all the philosophical principle into the Vedanta Sutra. Then he wrote the Mahabharata for the less intelligent class people to help them to achieve the goal of human life. So Mahabharata summarizes the Vedas because it contains Bhagavad Gita also. Mahabharata, you can see that during the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna is telling Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, which is also the essence of Vedic scripture. So the ultimate goal of Vedic knowledge actually is to know Krishna, he says in Bhagavad Gita himself. So now, as I said before, I'll give some, discuss about some practical reasons for dividing these Vedas. Before that, I will also a little bit tell about the what is the position of Shrimad Bhagwatam. That means the Vedas are all compiled by Vyasadeva, which we have seen Sam Veda, Tharva Veda, Rug Veda, and Yajur Veda, Purana, Ityas, Upanishad, etc. They originally came from the breathing of the Supreme Lord. Okay. Shrimad Bhagwatam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas. So this is the position of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Originally, Vedas came from Lord Krishna to Brahma, and Brahma gave it to Narad. So Narad is like a Sakanacharya, and Narad will now give it to Vyasadeva. So this means that it includes the most important message from the Lord. In fact, it is the literary incarnation of Lord himself. Shrimad Bhagavatam is considered to be literary incarnation. And Vyasadeva is also incarnation of God. You can see that Vyasadeva as a Purus, as a person, is incarnation of Krishna. And the book that he wrote, Shrimad Bhagavatam, is considered literary incarnation of Lord Krishna. So how important the Shrimad Bhagavatam book is, you can see that. Now I will little bit tell you about the practical reasons for dividing these Vedas. So it is said that in the Satya Yuga, everyone was situated in the mode of goodness, even above the mode of goodness also. But gradually, the mode of goodness declined during Treta Yuga and Dwapar Yuga. And the general mass of people became corrupt. And in the present age, which is Kali Yuga, in which we are living, okay, the mode of goodness is almost nil. You hardly find that mode of goodness, because everybody is in mode of passion and ignorance. Somebody don't want, they don't know what to do, and somebody want to do too much about it. So this is like a passion of doing, So, and both of them are, they are under the influence of mode of passion and ignorance. And so, for the general mass of the people, Srila Vyasadeva divided the Vedas in various ways so that they may be practically followed by less intelligent persons in the mode of passion and ignorance. He thought it wise that this would enable man to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Okay. So, thus, although Vyasadeva was engaged himself in working for the total welfare of all people, he was not satisfied with himself. He still felt unhappy. He was wondering himself, why am I still feeling unhappy? I did everything properly. I worship the Vedas. I worship the spiritual master. I perform fire sacrifice under very strict discipline. I am in a bona fide disciplic succession, like Brahma, then Narad, and then Vyas himself. So, what possibility still be wrong? So he thought himself, scratching his head in doubt, maybe it is because I did not emphasize or give any importance to the devotional service to the Lord, which really is the only process that can fully satisfy Lord Krishna and his pure devotees. So while at that stage, Narad Muni arrives, so we'll see that episode tomorrow. Today, we came up to the level that after compiling and dividing the Vedas and writing so many books, the conclusion is that Vyasdev is not so happy, not satisfied. So why he's not happy, why he's not satisfied, that we will see tomorrow, and how Narad Muni, his guru, helped him. Okay, so I will stop here. Hare Krishna, and we'll take some questions from you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. So I request to all the participants, if you have any question, please raise your hand. So we will take one by one. So the first one is Adishri. Adishri, please unmute yourself.
Can you show me one of the slides?
Haribol.
Haribol.
Yes. Did you ask something? I didn't get it. Yeah, can you repeat it?
Can you show me one of the slides?
Oh, you want to show the slide? Okay. All right. Let me go share the screen. Okay.
Can you go to the one with...
Yeah, I'm going. Okay. So here is the first slide. Let me blow it up.
Can you go to the second one?
Okay. King Parikshit had all opulence in his palace.
Who were King Parikshit's parents?
King Parikshit's parents were Abhimanyu and Uttara.
Okay.
Yeah. We have covered this previously. You were not there? You recently joined?
I didn't hear you well.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, we covered. The Parikshit's parents were Abhimanyu and Uttara.
And who's King Parikshit's wife?
King Parikshit's wife was okay. Okay, let me get her name. Okay, I'll have to get it. Let's see where it is right now. I think his wife's name. I will tell you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. King Parikshit's wife.
Prabhu, if I am not wrong, it's a Madhravati.
What is it?
Madhravati.
Madhravati. I don't know, Mataji. I have to. Yes. Anybody? Have any question? Anybody?
Yes. Ramachandra, please unmute yourself.
Prabhuji, you were talking about some Vedas, right? How yesterday split one Veda into 4 Vedas.
Yes.
And you said that each Veda had one Rishi.
Yes.
So what are the Rishi's name? So Vaisampayana Rishi teaches Veda. So what are the other ones?
Paila Rusi. I'll give you the names. Paila Rusi for the Rigveda, Jaimini for the Samved, Vaisampayana with Yajurved, and Angira Muni for Atharvaved.
So who's Samaveda?
Yeah, Samaveda, Jaimini. Jaimini, yes.
And who's who's the Atharvaveda?
Atharvaveda is Angira Muni.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna.
Next one is Srinanda. Srinanda, please.
Okay, now I can finally ask you. My final ask you.
Srinanda,
who are Parikshit Maharaj's wife and children?
What is it?
Who are Parikshit Maharaj's wife and children?
Srinanda, can you repeat your question one more time? Your voice is not clear. Srinanda? Please unmute yourself. Can you speak aloud? Your voice is not clear. Srinanda, do you have any question? Your voice is not clear.
Oh, here. Who is Parikshit Maharaj's wife and children?
Parikshit Maharaj's children like Janmejay is one of them. And wife name I will try to find out tomorrow. I don't have it handy.
Prabhuji, it's a Madravati.
Is that right? Maybe. Madravati?
Might be, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Should I take another one, Prabhu? Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
The next one is Sakhi. Sakhi, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so my question was, what is the other name of Shri Vyasadeva?
Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sarita, do you have any question? Please unmute yourself. Sarita,
Yes.
do you have any question?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So you said that people reincarnate, right?
Pardon me?
You said that people reincarnate.
Some of them reincarnate, yes.
So
All
is
the
there
time.
a way,
We also reincarnate. Everybody reincarnate,
is there a way to stop reincarnating?
Stop reincarnating. Yes, when you go to the spiritual world, you don't have to reincarnate anymore.
Oh. And how do you do that?
How do you, by doing Krishna Bhakti, by devotional service to Krishna, by pleasing Krishna, by your activity, you can go to spiritual world.
Okay. Yeah, that's my question.
Thank you.
Gopal Govinda, do you have any question? Gopal Govinda?
No.
Okay. So, Prabhu, we don't have any, no more questions, Prabhu.
Okay. So you had some questions? Or?
Yes, my daughter has 2 questions.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Mihiki, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Prabhuji?
Fine, thank you.
So my questions are that does Kalki Avatar come after each yuga or after the 4 yugas?
Yeah, Kalki Avatar will come after this Kali Yuga that we are living in right now. That means we only have passed 5,000 years approximately, little more than 5,000 years. So there are more like 38,000 more years to go. 30 lakhs. The total age of Kali Yuga is 4,32,000. And we only passed 5,000 years so far.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. My next question is that does Kalki Avatar only kill bad kings or all bad people after Kali Yuga?
Yeah, Kalki Avatar will come and then he'll kill all the bad people. At that time, everybody will be getting bad, and nobody will be good person there. So that's why yes.
And my next question is, when was Mahabharata and Ramayana wrote?
Mahabharata is during Dwapar Yuga, toward the end of Dwapar Yuga, and Ramayana is during Treta Yuga.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. That's all.
You're welcome.
Gopal Govindu, do you have any question?
Okay, Prabhuji, Atharva Veda Ongira Muni, Samved Jaimini Rishi, Jajurved and the Rigbed. Hello?
Yes.
Jajurved?
Yeah. The Yajurved is Vaisampayana.
Vaishampayan. Champagne and Rigbed?
Pardon me?
Rigbed.
Yeah, Rigved is Paila Rusi.
Paila Rishi. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for wonderful class and wonderful question and answer session. So Prabhu, we don't have no any questions right now, so we have to wind up our call.
Yeah, sure.
Vancha kaltaruvasya kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And if you have some questions, you can join early tomorrow also. Okay. Hare Krishna.